Hello, everyone. I'm Charlie, and welcome back to the DraftKings UCL DFS slate breakdown. A little bit different than how I usually do these videos. I thought I'd first kind of want to show how I did kind of in the Tuesday slate here. This was my cash team. I think I'm just gonna try to break it down a little bit and what I did and what went right here. I played and I ended up playing the exact core that I talked about on the video yesterday, which was Girassi, Miranda, and who's our other core play? I've already forgotten. Girassi, Miranda, and Gross all did very well. And then I kind of supplemented that with just set piece takers and Mohamed Salah around for the upside. Vinicius Jr. I know is super popular in cash as well. Luckily, I just got a little bit more savings going Salah over him, and he ended up outscoring him anyway, which was super nice to see. And I just paired set takers. And like I always talk about here, like I go for floor, go for set piece takers. I had almost all set piece takers other than Salah, who was my, and Girassi, who were my upside, just because there was no forward set piece takers. And I had a really good day. So that's another reason to check out the Discord through the website link in the description. Anyway, we have a great time. I saw a lot of subs from FSI do well too in the Discord, and yeah, just a great time over here. All right, so now into the slate itself. It's a Barcelona slate. Minus 588. Harry Kane and Bayern are minus 345 too, so that's another interesting game. PSG minus odds as well against Atletico Madrid. Bayern minus 180 against Salzburg. And then like Inter and Arsenal, dead heat, as well as this Brest and Stuttgart Atalanta games, both plus odds for both teams. In terms of projected lineups and set piece takers, for Stuttgart, it should be mostly Furyk, I feel like. Milo or Stiller or even Middlestock could end up taking a little bit too. For Atalanta, in this team, it should be a Lookman monopoly. I think almost every, like if Lookman plays, he should have monopoly. For Bayern and Benfica, for Bayern, it should be Kimmich and Olise splitting. For Benfica, it should be Di Maria and Kochku splitting. Feyenoord, it should be Paixão and Inbomb, double righty split. It's bizarre, I know, but just what they've been doing. For Salzburg, it should be Glauc, and I want to say Dagum. I think Dagum will end up being the guy who splits with Glauc. There's a small chance like Bidstrup, but I think it'll be Dagum, but he just gets subbed early, so it kind of skews that split a little bit. For Red Star and Barcelona, for Red Star, it should be mostly Elsnik. And for Barcelona, it's interesting they have no Rafinha in projected. I'd be kind of surprised if we don't see him. But if we don't, set pieces get a little bit messy. There's no Pedri either, which is interesting, since he usually is the guy who splits with Rafinha when in, and there's neither of them right now. I think if this was the team, I feel like it'd probably be Yamal and Olmo, I want to say, but I just don't think this will be right. I feel like Rafinha or Pedri or both will be in. But if we're assuming that they aren't and we're just going off of this lineup, like I said, I think it'll be Yamal and Olmo. Inter v Arsenal, it should be DiMarco and Calhanoglu. For Arsenal, it should be Saka and Brassard, I want to say. There's no Rice in projected. But Rice is, I guess, dealing with a knock. But yeah, I think it'll be Trossard then and Saka or Martinelli if he ends up being the one who starts a left wing. If they're both in together, like if we see Trossard like as the 10, things will get a little bit more muddled. My guess would be on Martinelli though. PSG Atleti, it should be in this team mostly Dembele, maybe Asensio, maybe Vitinha, maybe Hakimi take a couple of one-offs. If Lee Kang-in is in, he's the majority set piece guy, although we've seen him and Dembele just do a straight split. But Lee Kang-in will take something if he starts. And for Atleti, it should be mostly Griezmann, potentially De Paul, taking a thing or two as well, though. Sparta Prague v Brest, with Hraslin out of this game and Birmancevic out too, really interestingly. It should be mostly Karanin. Lassi, Leachy might split potentially, but Karanin will be the main guy in this team. And for Brest, it should be a Del Castillo monopoly. Now prices. Harry Kane, most expensive, like minus 200 to score. Like Barcelona were super cheap as well. Like a couple weeks ago, like they were like, we were seeing like 6K Lewandowski and Yamal, and that's just not the case anymore. Now they're all super up there with Harry Kane. All good plays. Like Harry Kane minus 200 to score. Like I have no fault playing him. Same with Rafinha, Monopoly, Lewandowski minus 200 to score as well. Don't mind him. Because of that, guys in the other game will probably get overlooked a little bit. Like Dembele, I think is still interesting despite not being on the best matchup compared to Bayern and Barca. Still a great player, especially if we see no leak hang in. He just has really nice floor ability, like 16 last game with Lee Kang playing, mind you. So if we see no Lee, then yeah, I'm super tempted by Dembele, even over these Barca and Bayern pieces. Like all those guys are in play. Sock, I think, is going to get overlooked a little bit. I think because of how even that game is and compared to how lopsided the other games are, I'm probably staying away from him a little bit more. He's more expensive than Dembele. I don't think he has the same floor abilities that Dembele does, and Dembele is still on a minus odds favorite, unlike Saka. Fati, I think it's too much, even if he starts. I'm not really interested in that. He's going to get subbed if he's in. Lookman I like a lot, but probably more GPP. I don't think he's better than any of the guys that we mentioned already. Yamal, I think, is probably a lock at 7,800. That is significantly cheaper than the other Barca forwards, significantly cheaper than Harry Kane, even Dembele. With this matchup, I think that's a great play. Like I love the Lamine Yamal at that. That might be core worthy. Griezmann's underpriced, I think, at 7K, but just it's a lot of forwards. I think he's probably more GPP, more of a good GPP play than cash, but I wouldn't even fault people for going him. Same with Paixão, I think is not bad either. Not a bad matchup against Salzburg. And he's been super hot as well in UCL. Like I definitely could get behind a Paixão play. Ataro's super cheap, but just that Arsenal matchup is just a tough to get to in cash, I feel like. Where's Retegui? I'm looking for him too. Oh my god, that is so cheap. I'll get to him when I get to him, I guess. But anyone else I'm interested in here? I'm not at forward. Any other forwards I'm interested in here? Not really in the 6K range. Martinelli, a fan, I think is could be kind of tempting if there's no Rice at 5K. But like I said, it's tough not to just go Barca or Bayern forwards or even Dembele. Julian Alvarez at 4K is crazy too. There's a lot of interesting GPP options. And yeah, Retegui, I think that's a bargain. Little GPP stack, Atalanta stack with Retegui and Lookman, I think could be super interesting. Dagim, I don't think is bad at 3K. Same with the Ketalar at 3K. Those are some super cheap options. I'm tempted by all those. Hold up, my dog is chewing the rug. I have to yell. Come on. Ah. And then that's it for forward. Midfielders. Oh, the forwards are so much more appealing to me on this slate than the midfielders. Like, I'm not really in love with all these guys. Elise I like, but I just feel like he's a bit of a sub risk. It's kind of expensive. I think he's in play, but I don't love it. Same with Olmo. Like I just don't love him for that much, considering he's another guy who just doesn't go 90 usually. Kimmich, you can say, oh, he's guaranteed 90, but then the issue with him is that he doesn't really have the upside that you're looking for on what is it, 7 game slate for that much. Di Maria, tough matchup. Like it's hard to really fall in love with any of these midfielders. Pedri, like he's just too much as well. Çalhanoğlu, I think, is all right at 6K, but once again, you're lacking upside there. Same with Inbom. Same with Burek, I guess, is just a minute's worry. So yeah, it's just a ugly slate for mids. Like I'm trying to find like a guy that I really like. I think there's probably zero chance I end up with a midfielder in my cash core because of this. Like there's just no one I really like other than Del Castillo. This will end up being a core play for me just because the top side mids just aren't that appealing. And at 4K, he allows you to kind of pay up at forward and get to the guys who you really want to play. I know he hasn't been fantastic, but he's had a pretty tough couple of matchups. Well, and then he didn't play or didn't start against Sturm Graz, and he did well off the bench there. So yeah, I like Del Castillo a lot. Like that is my favorite mid for sure, pound for pound. Reader, I don't mind though at 4K. Like that, I could see double punt mid being a really viable path here and just cram your expensive forwards. And then in terms of like all the way down here, I don't really love any of these guys. So yeah, just not a great slot for slate for mids. If you're gonna pay up, I think I'd go Elise because he does have upside despite being like a 60-minute player. Now defenders. Hakimi, he's been super hot. It's like I don't mind anyone for going him. It's just whether you want to prioritize a pay up defender over forward. But if you can find a healthy balance and get Hakimi in, I think that's really viable. DeMarco would be an auto play in any other slate. But because he's playing Arsenal, who are a possession-based team, it makes him a tougher roster. I still probably end up playing him. I feel like in cash. I might even have him in my core actually, just because he's just such a just fantastic DFS player. Gets so many crosses, so many key passes. The one game he played 30 minutes, got 18 points. I know it was against Young Boys, but still, that's just a phenomenal return. He's probably not going to do anything near that against Arsenal, but if he gets like a 10, 11, 12, 13, gets a goal contribution, 18 again, like you take that absolutely. So yeah, DeMarco's in play for me. I don't know if he's a lock, but I like that a lot. And then in terms of pay ups, I'm not really interested in any of the other ones. Mid range, I'm not even really loving. Jules Koundé though, 3K, that is phenomenal. That might be even core worthy considering Barcelona's odds, and if he ends up starting at right back, which he is projected to do, like 3K ball day is a steal, an absolute steal. I think that probably is the best defender play on the slate if we're factoring in price. And ball day 4,500, I think is not bad either. But yeah, 3K for Koundé is wild. I really like that. And in terms of any other defenders I want to mention, I'm not really seeing anything. Small has taken set pieces in the past, I think is okay. Middlestar, I don't mind either. He's just a get there kind of player. But yeah, the big one is Koundé for 3K. And then you always got DeMarco and Hakimi in play as well. So yeah, those are the defenders I'm thinking about. Other than that, punts, 2,500 center backs, pair them with a set piece taker and throw that in a GPP build. Something I always talk about. Goalkeepers, as always, it is a crapshoot today. I think the highest scores were Mainan and Kelleher. Might as well spin a wheel, and that's kind of how it goes with goalie. Like one of those guys will end up being the highest scorer, and there's no real way to discern who it ends up being. Just depends on how well they play on the day. In terms of a core, I think you got to go Yamal at 7,800. I think you got to go Del Castillo at 4K. And then I might even have Koundé in my core. I'm that tempted by him for 3K. I know he hasn't put up crazy numbers, but I expect something similar to like this Young Boys game where you absolutely take an 8 points in a 5-0 game. He ended up playing center back for a lot of the second half as well due to substitutions. So yeah, 3K Koundé, I think is a fantastic play. And that'll be it, guys. I wish you luck, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.